guys, welcome back to another episode of Inside Out Universe. Today I have a very special guest, my friend Evelyn. She's the owner of Tooth Gemz Toronto. I've had my tooth gems done with her before. A bunch of my friends have also done the same. She's great, but the reason I wanted to have her on this podcast is a little bit more than that. First of all, do you want to say hi?
Hi. How's it going?
So I I was on Instagram the other day and I was like, I obviously follow her because, like I said, she's great. So I have followed her from back when she did my teeth. And then I was scrolling through like people's stories and I saw that she posted a story about like how she's like all this crazy shit happens, rolling your eyes, at her like doing what she does. And she was like, I wish, like, I kind of makes me want to make a podcast about it. And I was like, I messaged her right away. I'm like, girl, I have a podcast. You can come on right now. Tell me all the stories. So
No,
what was going on that day?
Honestly, I can't even remember. Oh, no, I do remember. Honestly, people are just very rude and entitled, and it just infuriates me all the time.
Yeah.
I just hate when people think they are better than me, or like they think they can treat me a certain way just because they're a paying customer. But I'm also a human being. That doesn't mean you can
Yeah.
act this way or think that your behavior is valid, especially if you're hurting people's feelings or saying things to kind of make a business feel small. Like, I am a small business, but
Yeah.
that doesn't mean you get to act this way.
Act that way. Yeah, for sure.
And it's been a while since I had a situation, and that day was just like a bad day for me already, and it just riled up. And I've been thinking about doing this podcast for a really long time, actually. It's been a couple years where I'm like, you know what? I think it'd be a great podcast to just not talk shit, but talk shit.
Yeah, pretty much to like get it out. Cause like honestly, like when from my experience coming to you, and I came to you a few times to get, for those of you, I don't know if anybody watching this maybe doesn't know what it is exactly that you do. So she is the owner of Toronto Tooth Gems. Now, do you want to explain a little bit about what that is first before we go into
Yeah, sorry. I just
It's okay,
rambled
because
on.
it's like I always assume like it's the new thing, like everybody knows what it is.
Right. Well, I've been doing Tooth Gems for 5 years now. Tooth Gems, we do Swarovski crystals, and we just pop them on your teeth, just have a little bit of shine. I also make grills, and I do teeth whitening as well. It's just been quite a journey for me. It all started during COVID. I was in school for event management, and obviously with COVID, all the event stuff got shut down. I couldn't do any work, and I was like, well, shit, I need to make some money, But I didn't want to be like a nail tech or a lash tech. Like, I just feel like that was very saturated, and I wanted to do something different. And I saw Tooth Gems as an opportunity, and so I was like, okay, like, let me just try this out. It was just supposed to be a side hustle until COVID kind of lifted, but then once COVID lifted, by that time I already blew up on TikTok, and then from there it just became my full-time job. So yeah.
So now that we have that out there, so you guys know what she does, I have been to her a few times. My friends have been to her also. All of my friends go to her, and she's very professional. So like, I want to preface that before we go into any of these stories. So like, even like if you go on her Instagram, like I've never seen her like post a story where she's like, oh my god, like this person is annoying me or whatever. She's very professional. Even when I went and got my gems done. So for you to post that Instagram story, it must have been really frustrating. So like, can you talk a little bit more about specifically like stories or what people do that is just like frustrating?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I like to post a little rant once in a while, and every time I do, I always get like other small business owners who are like, yes, girl, I experienced this too. You're like, you're always the one to say things that we're also afraid to say. And I'm like, you know what? That's just how I am. I never take shit from people.
Yeah.
And if I feel like you're giving me shit, I will give you shit back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I will tell you one of my craziest and wild stories. So I actually told this story on TikTok. So if they go on my TikTok, the full story is there, but I will tell it today too.
Beautiful.
So this was about 2 years ago. I had a group of Chinese girls come in, and I'm also Chinese, right? So they came in, I think there was like 4 or 5 of them, and my old studio space could only fit maybe like 2 or 3. You remember, like my space is pretty small. So they didn't even tell me that they were bringing 2 extra people that weren't being serviced. So I was a bit thrown off, but I didn't say anything. I let them in, and as soon as they came in, they were just like speaking in Chinese, blah, 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 blah. Now, I know I speak very Canadian and I don't look Chinese and I look very westernized, so they obviously assumed I didn't speak Chinese.
Oh
But
no.
little did they know, I'm actually fluent in Chinese. Like, I am half Taiwanese. My mom is a Chinese teacher, so I fully speak Chinese.
Oh
And
fuck.
people
What were they
never.
saying?
So I got started on one of them and they just kept talking shit. They were just like, oh, this place is so cold. Okay, first of all, it's cold outside and you're wearing a skirt. That's why you're cold.
Yeah.
Okay. And she's like, and before that, I tell them like I have pets, and they're like, oh, there's fur everywhere. There was not fur everywhere.
I've been to your studio. There was not
Yeah.
fur anywhere.
Like,
Your dog was not even close to that
Exactly.
studio.
Like, I make sure I vacuum before every client. So, like, there's not fur. Maybe, like, they'll maybe get, like, a few strands of fur on their socks, you know, like, if you're walking on the carpet
Bite
and
me.
stuff, obviously. But she's like, yeah, there's so much fur. She's obviously saying all this in Chinese. And then I had gelled my hair that day, but I took my ponytail out. So, obviously, you know, when you take your ponytail, you have gel, and it looks
It
greasy.
looks greasy, yeah.
In Chinese, she's like, oh, her hair is so greasy. That was kind of like, I was like, oh my god, I want to say something so bad right now.
You
Like,
didn't say anything?
I did not say anything because I wanted to see how far they would take it. You know, I wanted
How
to see
far did they take
I wanted
it?
to see how much they would say. And then they started talking, and I was doing like the whitening syringe. It's just a syringe, but they're like, oh my god, she's gonna put a needle in her mouth. I'm like, I'm not injecting anything. I'm literally
You're
just
just
it's just
getting
a
the fluid
syringe to
out,
get the
yeah.
fluid out. I was so annoyed. And they were like, oh, this music is terrible. Well, I'm like, you can
Oh
you
my
can tell
God.
me if you want to change the music, but like
Yeah.
they just kept saying stuff, and I'm trying to remember what else they said.
Some people just love to hate, eh?
Right. And like, but also more of like the assumption that I don't speak Chinese, you know,
Yeah, that's
just
fucking
because
rude.
you've immigrated here and you're an international student, you can't just assume that I don't speak Chinese.
Oh, thank you.
You know, you never know, especially Toronto. We're so multicultural.
Yeah, for sure.
And I don't know. I've bumped into a lot of situations where a lot of like African Americans speak Chinese too. I'm like, oh my god,
Yeah.
that's so cool. You know, everybody just speaks different languages.
But also, like, even if they don't speak that language, that almost is its own kind of bad because it's like, why are you speaking another language, like, in front of somebody
Right.
who might potentially, like, think you're talking shit about them?
Right, and that's super rude too. And then at the end, they were asking each other like, "Oh, how much is this? How much is this?" And obviously, I wasn't gonna answer, right? And then I think they were answering each other, and they're like, "Oh, and we have to add tax." And like I do like a tax discount or like a cash discount,
Mm,
and that's said before you come in as well. So I don't know why they were surprised that I charged them tax
yeah,
when they wanted to pay by e-transfer or card or whatever.
that's crazy.
I just felt so disrespected, you know, like this is in my own home and you're saying all these things. You're not
Yeah.
even speaking English and you're giving me attitude and you're complaining about my entire environment. Oh, she also said my room was like really small. I'm like, well, there's like 5 of you in here.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's going to seem crowded.
But also, like, why would you bring people to somebody's, like, home? Because, like, when you told me, when you reached out, like, when we were arranging me to come see you, you did mention to me that it was in your home.
Right.
That your studio's in your home.
Right.
So automatically I was like, even if I did, obviously I never thought about it, but I would think like, oh, I'm not going to bring a random person to this person's home.
Right, exactly. And the thing is, they actually had luggage when they came. So they left their luggage outside. So I don't know if they just came in from a flight or they were about to like fly out or something. I don't know. Anyways, they paid. And then I walked them out and I was like, you know what? This does not feel right. I need to say something. So I went back up those stairs, opened the door, and I was like, oh, by the way, and then quotations in Chinese, I said, I speak Chinese. So next time you want to talk shit, wait till you leave before you say something. And then I
so
slammed the door.
crazy.
Slammed the door.
Good
and
for you.
what's funny is my friend was actually waiting on the driveway for me because we
Yeah.
were about to go out. And she told me that she saw them walk out from the back gate and they were just silent, saying nothing. Like their faces just like all dropped.
That's
And they were just
crazy.
so shook.
That's so insane to me. I really don't get it. I don't understand. Like, what is there to, like, first of all, like, why are you so unhappy? I'm not even just talking about these girls because, like, maybe they were just young or whatever. Were they young?
Mm-hmm.
They were younger. So maybe they just didn't have manners. I'll chalk it up to that. but just generally certain people, because I've worked like for a really really long time. I did like I worked in the hospitality industry, so I was a server, a bartender, and all
Right.
of that.
Me too.
And
So I understand.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's it makes you realize like certain people honestly just are unhappy. Like that's really just what it is. Like, cause I used to like think about it all the time. Like, why would you go out to eat if you're just gonna complain the whole time? Like, stay at home or and order like food
Right.
to your house. You know, like why
Right.
would you like you go out to have a good time? You
I think people
know?
are just very inconsiderate about others, you know, like they only kind of think of themselves in their own bubble and they forget that like other people exist and other people have their own life, you
And their
know.
own
Yeah,
feelings.
and their own feelings and they forget that like people who serve us, we are humans too. You know,
Yeah.
like I didn't really do anything to make them act this way. You know, it'd be different if I had given them attitude as soon as they came in and then they're like upset and they're speaking in Chinese about how upset they are and stuff, but I didn't do anything.
Yeah.
You know, so why do you feel the need to be dissing me like that?
Mm-hmm.
You know,
I think it also, do you think it has something to do with the fact that money is involved? I think when people are paying for something, they assume that like I can treat you any which way.
right? That's what I mentioned. Like in the beginning, I was like, just because you're a paying customer doesn't mean you get to treat me any way you want. Like, yes, my services are expensive, but it's a luxury. It's not. It's not a service that you have to be doing. You know, I
Yeah.
understand. Like at the dentist, you pay a lot, and you're like, oh, I don't want to go to the dentist, and you kind of feel away. And then I
Yeah.
understand like people at the dentist can be really rude as well. You know, but it's mostly because like they're scared of the service if they need to get like an implant or like
I
crowns
hate
and
the
stuff like
dentist.
yeah,
No,
exactly.
I
Like you know,
cannot.
so like a little bit of attitude comes from like fear, but I think with like whitening and tooth gems and grills, it's just
It's a
it's
fun
a
thing.
lux.
Like,
It's
why are you here if you're
exactly,
so sad and so
exactly.
pissed off?
That's what I mean. It's just like I'm here to make you smile. Like
Like
my
literally.
job is to make people smile. That's what I do for a living. And why are you not smiling when I'm doing your work?
Yeah,
You know,
this
you're
feels like a
literally it's
waste.
weird. It's weird. People have weird energy.
Yeah.
It's just weird behavior. I don't understand it.
Have you ever seen? So I don't know what side of TikTok you're on, but on my side of TikTok for some reason I get a lot of like Karen videos.
Mm-hmm.
And like I'm just like categorizing it as Karen videos, but it's a lot of like businesses not, especially small businesses, not getting paid for their work or like some drama like that. And it's always like they're filming it to like protect themselves or they're filming it waiting for the cops or something like that or whatever. Have you ever had an incident like that happen to you where somebody like came, got the service and didn't want to pay?
No, I am so lucky that that has never happened. But recently I did put cameras in my studio so that if that were to ever happen, you know, I have
You're going
camera
viral,
proof.
baby.
No, for sure. But the thing is, like, because I'm in a condo, I'm like on the 26th floor. So you're gonna rob me. What are you gonna do? Run down the stairs 26 floors or stand there and wait for the elevator until, you know, it just doesn't
Yeah,
make sense
yeah,
to rob me because it's like by the time you leave, I have time to just come after you. And I
yeah,
can also quickly call the concierge, be like, "Hey, someone's coming down right now. Close the building, shut down the building." You
yeah,
know, and then the police station's also like a 2 minute walk from my condo.
yeah.
So at the end of the day, it's unrealistic for this to happen, but I am lucky that this has never actually
So no
happened.
situations that have actually like made you feel like unsafe or like actually like worried like that.
I wouldn't say worried, but there have been like times where I get a few people and I feel really sketched out by their energy. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's just like are you gonna pay me, like where they keep asking me questions and they're unsure about things and then I'm just like are they gonna be they don't give me a reaction like oh I love it, you know, this looks so sick.
Yeah, yeah.
Usually when there's no reaction I'm like shit, are they gonna pay for it or do they not like it, you know? It's just like it's
Aw.
weird.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
But luckily I've never ran
Thank
into a
God. Let's keep
situation
it
like
that
that. Yeah,
way.
no,
But
exactly.
honestly, being a small business and being that like you're in that community, you probably do hear a lot of stories about like fucked up things that like small businesses go through.
Honestly, it's just TikTok. I've only seen that stuff on TikTok. I don't know
TikTok.
anyone personally who has gone through that, which I'm very like thankful for.
Yeah.
You know, especially in Toronto, like we do have very sketchy people and sketchy
No, for sure.
situations.
That's why I was asking. And like honestly, like watching these videos, like some people might watch it for like entertainment and stuff, but like I watch it and I'm like, okay, like people who have small businesses, they should do this and they should
Right.
do this and they should make sure that whatever are the things that you watch and you're like that you learn that you're like, I'm gonna start doing this from now on to make sure people don't, even like the cameras thing in your studio now.
The cameras thing is actually more for my boyfriend. Okay, so I forgot to tell you guys this, but my boyfriend does lashes.
Oh no,
Yeah.
Lee, that's crazy. Really?
Yeah, so basically the
That's
backstory
dope.
is because I'm allergic to falsie glue, so I can't wear falsies. Like whenever I wear them, my eyes just puff up, like they're bad. So I was spending a lot of money on like doing extensions, but I'm like, fuck, like I can't even wear a falsie when I want to, you know. So my boyfriend was like, hey, like what if I just did your lashes for you?
That's so
You
fucking
know,
cute.
so
Holy man.
I invested in a course for him. Shout out BM Lash Club, Bianca. He trained with her, and now he has his own page. He's JD Lashes with a Z.
That's so dope. I'll put his page in the
Yeah,
bio as well.
and
That's
so
so
he
dope.
does
Did he
lashes.
do your
He
lashes right
did my
now?
lashes. Yeah, these I need a fill though. This is like
Girl,
three
they
weeks
are
in.
fire. He even put the little pink in
Yeah,
there.
these are like 3 weeks in. I need a fill.
Holy, this guy's a
But
walking green flag, eh? He's like,
yeah.
I'll do it for you. That's
Yeah.
crazy. That's dope.
So yeah, it was just like a whole thing, and now he does lashes in the studio. You know, he takes clients in the evenings. But I put the camera there because he's a male. It is a lot harder to get clients, but then you also don't know how like females will be like, oh, like, you know, he did this and he did that. You know,
okay.
like
Yeah,
I just
yeah.
want my
Smart.
girls to feel safe in an environment with a male. You know, I know like some girls are. They can be triggered by something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
So I put the cameras in. So if anything were to be accused of,
You would
I
have
can
smart.
I can
Very
pull up the
smart.
camera and be like, what are you talking about? You know,
Yeah.
this is not what happened.
Yeah, to also like make sure you protect him as well, because
Exactly. I want to protect him as well.
It's crazy
Yeah.
right now. The world's
Yeah.
crazy. That's
Yeah.
wild.
But
Is it weird? Like, what's now? I want to have him on the fucking podcast because, like, what the hell do you mean a
we
male
can bring
hashtag?
him.
That'd
We
be
can bring
dope.
him.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that would be really sick. So, can people just like come to you and like get their teeth done and then also get their lashes
Yes,
done?
I've actually had that happen. Like one of my girls, she came in to do Tooth Gemz, and I was offering a promo where if they did a service with me, they would get their lashes done for free by him because he wanted to gain his followers or
That's
like just
sick.
kind of practice on different eye shapes because he was working on mine for a year before he launched, right? So she was like, yeah, like let me try it out, and then she did it, and then it was like a back-to-back service.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
crazy. I love that. That's
Thank
really
you.
fucking dope. Another.
Sorry, off track.
No, yeah. What were we even originally? That's fucking dope. I can't even stop thinking about it now.
We're
That's
talking
actually
about
crazy.
cameras. Oh, like the safety and the cameras thing.
Oh yeah. Every time I do an episode with girls, people like when I do episodes with guys, everybody's like, "Why don't you bring more girls?" I'm like, "Cause when I bring girls, I completely forget what I'm even talking."
We literally just
about,
start
'cause
talking
it
about
is-
random things and just like end up having 5,000 different conversations in one.
But no, I get the gist of it now. In terms of one of the reasons why I wanted to bring you on is because more than just like the aspect of you having, which I think is fucking dope, by the way. I'm super down for a good woman starting a small business story. Like that's super my vibe and up my alley.
Thank you.
So I did want to talk to you about a little bit about that, but I also don't know much about you aside from your business.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what your perspective is on this, but I always think that like a business that also is like personable is like a good vibe. It's something I can get behind.
Oh, for sure.
So like tell us a little bit about you. Who are you? What did you do before this? What are you into?
Oh man. I say that I have changed a lot as a person in the past 2 years. Anything before that, it's like I don't even want to know her. Who is she?
I don't know who that
I don't
was.
know who that was. I was definitely a different person than who I am today. Are we talking about the sad side of me or the happy side of me?
Whatever you want people to know about you.
Well, I grew up in Markham. I'm a Markham girl.
I love Markham. I'm dead ass.
Markham sucks.
I'm not even joking. I don't know. I have really good memories. I have fond memories from anything to do in Markham. Now Scarborough, on the other hand.
Yeah, Scarborough's a different story, but I hate Markham. We're all so cliquey, and everyone's very attached to one another, and they're not very welcoming. And I've always been the floater, you know, since high school. I have always floated from group to group. I've never really had my own group, and then I went to Laurier for a semester and realized that also wasn't for me. So then I dropped out, and then I went to George Brown for event management. Kind of found a couple friends and a few groups there, but I will admit I was kind of a mean girl.
Okay.
I was a mean girl.
What was making you mean? I feel like there's always a reason why someone's a mean girl.
It was just like I felt so unwelcome in high school, like because I was such a floater that like when it was time for college, I was like, this is my time to shine. You know, I've always been the underdog. It's my turn.
Yeah, yeah, I feel
So
that.
I kind of everyone was mean to me in high school, so I was like, okay, maybe I need to be mean to be popular kind of thing.
Okay.
You know, so it kind of became that, and like when I had my group, I guess I took leadership. That's what I was told. I didn't mean to. I didn't really like understand what I was doing. I think I was just very hurt from the whole high school experience.
I get that. To be honest, like I'm a big fan of people growing and like learning from their past
Right.
experiences. I don't like the fact that society holds us like accountable to a version of us that doesn't even exist anymore.
Right.
Whether that's a year ago, 10 years ago, whatever. If somebody says I've changed, it's best to reflect back to them the best version of them so that they could continue to be a good person.
Right.
And also we're young. We're all trying to like find our
Oh yeah.
place in the world. So I don't
We're like 18, 19. We don't know shit at that point. We think we know everything. That's the age where we think we know
I still
everything.
don't know shit.
You know, and I'm not afraid to admit that I was the mean girl. You know, that was a part of who I was, and that's kind of why I am who I am today. Like, I'm definitely not a mean person anymore.
Yeah.
But that attitude is still there, of course, sometimes. You know?
It's good to protect yourself. Don't get rid of that part because it's a dog eat dog world nowadays.
So after college, I guess like COVID basically hit right after college, you know, and then once COVID happened, I kind of fell into this whole depression, anxiety situation. And I guess because I wasn't feeding on that like mean girl energy anymore because everybody was so isolated.
Yeah.
So I really, really had to sit in my own feelings. Right. And sitting in my own feelings helped me discover who I really was. And then I was able to kind of take myself out of that shell, be a nicer person, you know. And then I moved out after COVID from my parents. So that's when I started doing my Tooth Gemz stuff on my own. I was doing it from home, like my parents, for a little bit. And then after I moved out, it was just my own thing.
Yeah.
And then I just learned to be in my own space,
do your own thing,
do my own thing.
It's comforting when you get there.
Yeah, and honestly, my life is not that interesting.
It's
after
pretty
COVID,
I have a few questions that are in my
okay,
mind,
you
actually.
go ahead.
What part of your story stands out to you? Like if I were to tell my story, there are certain parts of it because I felt them more than other parts of it. Certain either lessons or whatever I went through, they resonate with me more.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So if I were to like write a book, I would really hone in on those parts.
I know you said you don't want to keep talking about mental health stuff.
No, I don't. It's not that I don't. Okay, first of all, don't cook me on my own podcast. To preface what this is about, I told her, I said, I've had a lot of girls on this podcast, and it always comes down to mental health, which I have no problem about. I'm a mental health girly. I get it.
Girls always talk about mental health.
But I was like, girl, I'm happy that you're a girl that can talk about more than just that. You can also talk about, like, businesses and whatever. You're cooking me right now,
Sorry.
bro.
I take that back.
For all the girls on my podcast that I've had, I love each and every one of you guys. Damn it.
Sorry.
Anyways,
we could take that part out.
No, it's raw. It's inside out. It's got to be there. The raw footage. Okay, so yeah.
Okay,
let's get to it.
so in 2019, that's when I had my full like depression, anxiety fallout. I was in a very toxic relationship, and then I decided to commit suicide. You know, I did have an attempt, and that kind of woke me up. You know, they immediately, the thing, okay, what's crazy is our mental health society, it's like, you want to go into therapy, you got to wait like 10, 11 months to get into therapy. And I tried to do that before my attempt, but they're like, yo, you got to wait.
What was it, Cam H?
No.
Okay.
I don't know what it was.
Because I've gone through a lot of like mental health stuff too, like the system and stuff to try to get help. It's absolutely horrible.
It's ridiculous.
I was gonna say, girl, if it was Cam H, like it's not even once you get there, it's not even worth it.
Right. So they gave me a really long timeline. I was like, yo, like I need this now. I am very aware that like I am not in a good place, and I'm like, I need this help now. And I guess because of COVID, it was even worse. Right. Actually, no, that wasn't even COVID time yet. What am I saying? Okay, whatever. It was just really bad at that point. And then in 2019, I was like, okay, well, fuck this. Like, I don't want to deal with this shit anymore. So I did my attempt. And then right after my attempt, they immediately put me into therapy.
Oh,
and I
thanks.
was like, okay, so I needed to try to kill myself
for you guys to actually
for you to take me seriously. I'm like, I told you guys.
That's so crazy.
Yeah. So I was in a program for I think 3 or 4 months. It was a group therapy, and honestly, that changed my perspective in life a lot.
Okay.
There was a big part of me that like hated life. I didn't want to be here. I was like, there is no point in me being here. And then being in therapy opened my eyes. I was able to find myself again and really appreciate the small things in my life, and got to talk about things that I never really got to talk about before. And it just unraveled a lot of inside trauma that I never
Mm,
knew I had. You
yeah.
know, we got to unravel all that. And then after that was when I was like, okay, well, I guess I need to do something with my life. And then COVID started and I started the business.
Yeah.
And then the business has become my entire personality and my
Your
entire
business
life.
is dope. I don't know why. I was literally thinking about it today. I'm like, when we start talking about it, like, I'm gonna have to like at least like explain why I specifically wanted her
No.
to come on the podcast. I just really love your business. I got a
Thank
good vibe
you.
from you. I really like that you're like doing this on your own. I really like that you were one of the first people to do
I
it, and I really
appreciate
like the way
that.
you go about it. So that aside, you're dope for that. By the
Thank you.
way, you killed
Thank
it.
you.
Whatever brought you to that point, it
Me being sad is what brought me to
it
that point.
well, listen, your sadness manifested itself in a very beautiful way, and
Seriously.
you've created a business that makes a lot of people very happy,
Hmm.
so good on you for that.
No,
How
I like,
comfortable?
sorry, I like that you said that because
What?
I was sad and then now I have a business to make other people happy. It's just like,
Yeah,
wow, like it's very opposite, you
yeah.
know, and like my lowest point brought me to my highest point now, which is absolutely insane.
But to be honest, like very, very like even when you said the thing about being a mean girl, like you kind of I know it's hard because sometimes when people are a certain way, it kind of like pushes you away from them. But certain times, certain emotions are not primary emotions. There's
Hmm.
something else underneath that is causing that.
Oh, I was
So
definitely very
like to me, like
insecure.
being whether it's insecure, being sad, like even when I was in high school, like I was a very, very aggressive person. Like very unnecessarily aggressive. Like
Hmm.
nobody talked to me, whatever, this and that. I was just always like by myself kind of thing.
Hmm.
But if you did try to like even look at me the wrong way, girl, like I was not having that. And I was trying to fight everybody. But underneath all of that, I was just really sad and I
Hmm.
felt like I was really misunderstood.
Hmm.
And I felt like people wanted to push my buttons
Right.
because I was like an outsider. I just come from Iran. I didn't really like fit in. I was kind of like a fob, like
Yeah, yeah,
whatever, you
yeah.
know? So there's always more underlying whatever. So when you say the emotions are opposite, it's like when you go through a lot of sadness, like you do eventually get to a point where you're like, I just kind of want to make other people happy.
Yeah.
You know, if I can't experience it myself,
Yeah.
maybe I can experience it by making others
Right.
happy.
And because like I experienced it to almost the end, you
Yeah.
know, whenever someone tells me that they're kind of close to that situation, I can relate and I can be like, okay, let's talk. You know,
Yeah.
I got myself out of there. I think I can help you get yourself out of there too.
Yeah.
You know,
How comfortable are you talking about that situation? Because I think it could be really helpful to a
I
lot
am
of people.
completely open to it. When it first happened, I was obviously very embarrassed. And I was like, well, I didn't go through with it, you know.
Yeah.
But I am very open to talking about it just because I think it will help other people
Mm-hmm.
understand that they're not alone, you know,
Okay.
and these are things that happen and it'll be okay.
And you're amazing for that, honestly, because it's a very sensitive like topic. Just to kind of like also make you feel a little bit more comfortable and also in the spirit of honesty, since you are being so vulnerable. When I was younger, I also had an attempt. This is when I was very young, but it was a very serious attempt. It
Mhm.
wasn't like a what people sometimes will be like, oh, like you're young, you're trying to grab attention. Because
Mhm.
even like I
Mhm.
remember even people from like my own family that didn't really
Right.
understand the situation were like, oh, like don't worry about it. Like she's just trying to get attention. She's young. I can tell you now, looking back, it was very serious. I
Yeah.
meant it. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, so, but I was never able to revisit that memory and to try to this day, to revisit that memory and try to unpack what led me to that point.
Right.
Also, I was very young
Yeah,
and
if you're
like,
so young, like how do you even like come up with that thought, you know?
yeah, and I was in Iran, right? So for me, it was like also like a very like hush hush kind of situation. Nobody in my family wanted anyone to know about it, so it wasn't like,
Mm.
oh, let's go get help. It was
Mhm.
just kind of like a, oh, like no, she didn't mean that. Like it was just it's a misunderstanding. She was just
I hate
upset,
that.
like you know,
Yeah.
kind of thing, like brushed it under the rug, kind of thing. So I'm very happy that you are someone who is able to unpack that. What brought you to that point, and how do you think that other people going through something like that could prevent it from getting there?
For me personally, I just felt very invalidated my entire life. You know, I was always brushed off by everybody, and I was always like, have you know Duff?
Who's
People are
Duff?
like, Duff is like there's a show that says it's called, or like whatever it's called, that you're like the designated ugly fat friend.
Oh yeah.
Where
I don't
like
know
you're
what
kind
movie
of
it's
just
from.
like the outsider of a group. You know,
Yeah.
you're kind of just an extra body.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I just always felt like I was the duff. And I just never felt important to anybody. I would always lose friends, or people would cut me off for no reason, or like I got made fun of, and that really held on to me. So once I got into college, like I said, I tried to, you know, be like a leader in the group or whatever, and I was just very insecure. I always felt like I needed validation from everybody, and I wanted everybody to like me. Oh, but I also wanted to hold some sort of power and control, and wanted people to be scared of me too, so that I had that control.
Yeah.
Now, I was in like a really, really toxic relationship, and honestly, he kind of like micro cheated on me like a lot, but because I was only 18, 19, I didn't really understand what was going on, you know, so I kind of brushed it off. But there was one point where it just like really, really, really hurt and really, really exploded in me. So we broke up, and he like just didn't really care. And that really hurt my feelings. And that was kind of like the last straw for me. But there were so many times before that where it was just micro cheating, and then gaslighting me, and then telling me I'm crazy, and I'm like, I'm not crazy. And like, I don't know why I couldn't just leave him. But at the same time, he was 7 years older than me. Okay, like I'm 19, he's 26. And I thought that like as a 26-year-old, you should have your shit together. You know, you should be able to be more mature and know how life works and have this emotional intelligence and blah blah blah, this like positive energy. And he had that good mask face up front, but then behind doors, like it was like I was disrespected by him all the time, you know. And you know, like when your main relationship is so toxic, you kind of think your entire world is toxic.
It's falling apart. Yeah.
So after we broke up, I just didn't feel like I had. I just felt very worthless, because he just gaslit me so hard and made me feel like I was crazy, and made my emotions feel like they weren't valid, you know?
Which was something that you already struggled with. So he kind of
Beforehand,
just
exactly.
like beat on your insecurities.
Right. And so that was like kind of the last straw for me. And that's what kind of held me down. I was like, okay, peace, bye. You know? Yeah.
Yeah. I feel that honestly, like on the last episode of this podcast, I talked about it a lot of like I've struggled with feelings of like not belonging and like people not valuing me. And like even to this day, sometimes I'll be talking to my brothers and they'll be like, dude, like so much has changed. We've all grown so much and whatever. And I'd be like, yeah, but mom loves you more and dad loves my other brother more and nobody ever loved me. And it's like when I sit down and really think about it, I'm like, oh yeah, these are really like childish thoughts, I guess, to have.
Yeah.
But it's not childish for me, because when I think about those kinds of things or like those relationships, because I've been there too, I can still feel it. Like I can still feel how it felt to like feel so like
I can still feel that
discarded,
hurt. Like, you know, like if I really, really sit in my feelings, I can almost like go back to those moments, and then I will just bawl my eyes out.
Yeah.
You know, I can still feel that. Even sometimes I'll be triggered, you know, with my friends, if like they say something, or if my boyfriend says something. I'll just it's like a knife in the heart. It's like you're reopening a wound.
It
right?
never goes away.
It doesn't. It's just like it's trauma.
It's just you could just learn to like live with it and like to manage it.
I wouldn't really say learn to live with it. It's just more of learning that that's not who you are anymore, and that's not the life you're living anymore. You know?
Yeah. I feel you. For me, like it just like my old traumas are just like things that like as I get older and as I get more perspective in life, I try to like kind of like change and manage my perspective on them so that they don't hurt as much. Because I got to a point in my life where I was like, even if I have to be delusional about certain things to just feel better, I would rather do that. And I don't mean by like not addressing them or anything like that, but just like shifting the perspective into like everything that happened in my life was constructive. Whoever felt any kind of way towards me, that's on them and not on me.
Right.
You know what I mean? And just trying not to dig too deeply into things and just continue on my path.
Right.
And just put my head down and just live my life.
Yeah, just focus on you. Like at the end of the day, you don't really need to worry about anyone else or fix anyone else's life. People will figure it out on their own.
Yeah,
you
and
know?
life has a way of humbling people. So.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. I definitely got humbled like a bunch of times.
Oh girl, trust me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like what would you say to people who are maybe young and like struggling with those kinds of feelings and thoughts, like whatever it was that you felt and thought? How would you tell them to like what would your advice be? Like you know what I mean?
Honestly, it's so hard to give advice because I know what it's like being in there. Like when you're in there, you don't want to listen to anyone else.
Anybody.
You know, someone can give you advice and you'll be like, "Well, that's not how I feel." like I don't want to do that because I feel like this. You know, I'm also a very, very stubborn person, so it's hard to convince me otherwise once I feel something, you know. But if I were to give advice, it's just like just sit in your feelings, you know, try to really understand who you are, why you're acting a certain way. There's a purpose for everything, there's a reason for everything, you know. I was depressed because I wasn't getting enough attention or wasn't being validated enough, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if I had that answer at that time, I would have left that relationship like this and then just moved on and found a healthier relationship and try to validate myself or just love myself kind of thing, you
Mm-hmm.
know. But at the end of the day, it's just mainly focusing on you. And once I had, or just find something to help you focus. Once I had the business, I was so focused. I was like 150% focused on me. I didn't really care about anyone else once I had my business, you know. I was like,
Yeah.
I'm making money.
That
You
makes your business
know,
so much more
my
special.
business is me. I'm making people happy. People are smiling. This is my doing. You know, so once I had my business, it became my entire personality, and I am working 24/7.
Yeah.
You know, even when I'm on vacation, I'm answering DMs. When I'm on vacation, I'm thinking, okay, what can I add next to my business? What can I do this? You know, even when I'm at party. Okay, I was literally at a party 2 weeks ago, and I brought all my grill stuff to the party in case anyone wanted grills. I'm like
That's
half
such a good idea because there's always somebody at a party
yeah,
that's like, yo, I wish I got some grills because
and
that's how I got my grills.
yes, yeah, and I'm literally like half drunk doing people's grills impressions at this party, and then
That's
and then
so
my
funny.
friends are like, Evelyn, why are you working right now? Come take a shot. I'm like, Evelyn, stop working. I'm like, I can't. It's 2 a.m. I'm doing grills impressions.
Do you enjoy it?
I do.
Okay.
I genuinely love what I do.
Yeah.
You know, I always tell people, like, don't start something if you're not going to love it. You know,
Yeah.
you need to be passionate about it because especially if it's your own business and you own it, if you don't love it, you're not going to move forward with it. You know,
Yeah.
you're just going to hate what you do.
Or it's just gonna show that you don't love
Right.
it.
Right. Like, you know, when you walk into a business and someone's all like grumpy or like it's like a grumpy old man, they're like
Yeah.
lousy and whatever. And you're like, okay, this person obviously hates their job,
This person just wants my money.
you know?
Yeah.
So it's like, why even live a life like that? You
Yeah.
know, obviously I started this business because there was some sort of interest to it. As I get older, it is a bit different. Like, I don't even have Tooth Gemz on anymore because like I'm older now, you know? Like
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like
yeah.
it's like, okay, it's not my vibe anymore, but I still wear my grill here and there. But I still love seeing it on people, you know?
Yeah, it's
Seeing
cool.
it
I
on
like
other
it.
people is like the first time I saw it on myself. I'm like, wow, I wish I can see that the way I saw myself
Yeah.
like 5 years ago. You
Yeah.
know?
That's so cute. That makes your business so much more special. But honestly, like listening to what you're saying, there was a few points where I was like, oh, like that's actually a really good idea. Where it's like, first of all, you put yourself in a very good position to, despite the fact that you were really struggling, you put yourself in a very good position to go and get help.
Mm-hmm.
Even though that help was, you know, not provided to you when you needed it, you
Mm-hmm.
still were in a position, put yourself in a position to be able to get help.
Right.
So I think that's definitely something dope that you know, I didn't think about when I was younger.
Right.
And that could be something for people to think about if they are struggling with those kinds of things and those kinds of feelings. And then also, like, what you're saying is like, yeah, like, for example, when I was going through what I was going through, like, I was kind of just like over it. Like, I just didn't, like, I was so, like, numb towards everything in life. To me, it was just like they felt like it was just no point.
Yeah.
Like, I was so frustrated. There was no thought behind it. This is
Mhm.
like the few people that I have talked to about my situation, there was no thought. Like I didn't even contemplate of like, oh, like am I scared? Should I do it? Should I not do it? It just got to a point where I was so fed up
Right.
and I just had so much negative things going on in my life
Mhm.
that I just it
Right.
made it was the only thing that made sense.
Right.
You know, but had I had somebody to be able to like redirect my energy and my sadness towards art and doing something and
Mhm.
making something of it and you know obviously while going to therapy and getting help
Mhm.
but putting all of those emotions towards something
Right.
something
Exactly. It's just
better.
more of like focusing on something else. You know, I was so focused on my depression. I was so focused on my anxiety. I was so focused on my toxic relationship. I was like, there's nothing more important than my depression right now.
Yeah.
You know? And then once I had that business, I had so much to focus on. I was so obsessed with my business. I was
Yeah.
so obsessed with like getting this going. And it just still an obsession today.
It helps, yeah, for sure. How do you make sure that like your business is not a distraction from what we were talking about, but it's just like a positive thing that you're working on? Like, are you still like going to therapy, or like what are you doing for yourself to make sure that this is not just a distraction?
Um, that's a good
The
question,
answer could be
actually.
nothing, honestly. This is inside out. Like,
No, that's a good
I've made it very clear
question.
to people that I'm a very imperfect human being.
Well, I know for a fact that I am no longer depressed. You
Okay.
know, I've definitely come out of that hole. It was more of about I didn't accept who I was. You know, I was depressed because I wasn't who I wanted to be. You
Mm-hmm.
know, but this business kind of, I keep talking about my business, but like
No, I love
my
that.
business is what helped me build who I wanted to be. You know, I know people always say like, oh, like money doesn't buy happiness, blah blah blah, but my business is my main source of income, right? But my business also help me provide a life for my pets, you know, my dog, my cat. They are my everything.
Yeah.
And without money, I wouldn't be able to raise them. But also, like, without money, I wasn't able to move out. You know, if because I moved out, I was able to sit in my feelings.
Yeah.
If I didn't have money, I wouldn't have been able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and now I've purchased my first home, you know, and that
Good
was,
for
thank you,
you.
that was my biggest goal. Like, ever since I was like 16, I was like, I want to own. And I had a whole plan before COVID, and COVID ruined my plan. So obviously that got delayed by another few years. But owning my first home has made me feel like I reached the top of success, you
Yeah.
know, and I am very proud of myself. I've built this business where I get hundreds of clients a month. You know, I just hosted my 5th year anniversary. I
That's
was
dope.
completely booked full with a full wait list. You know, a lot of the time people have Tooth Gemz and they're like, oh, where'd you get that? And they're like, oh, it's Tooth Gemz Toronto, you know? Like, I get
Yeah.
so many
I hear it all
referrals,
the
you
time. All the
know?
time.
Yeah, so I've kind of built this empire for myself that I am proud of who I am. Before, I was not proud of who I was.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was not happy with the way I looked, the way I talked, and how people treated me. And that's why I say, like, you just always got to focus on you.
Yeah.
Figure out what makes you love yourself. You
Mm-hmm.
know, like, I know I'm a boss babe. Like, I like to stay humble and not brag about it, but inside I know that I did this, you know.
You could
I
brag a little. I feel like you've earned some bragging rights.
Thank you. But in terms of the whole mental health thing, you can't help someone who doesn't want to be helped.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I did have a couple friends in therapy where they just wouldn't show up for a few weeks, you know, but they'd be texting me and I'm like, yo, like, where were you today? And they're like, didn't want to come or whatever. And I'm like, you're not doing the work to help, you know. We're all in
Mm-hmm.
the same position.
Yeah.
We all tried and they put us here for a reason, but if you're not willing to do the work, you're not going to change,
Then there's nothing you can do for
right?
those people.
So at the end of the day, you need to be open and willing to change in order to see change.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I respect that. And honestly, like, to those people that say, like, oh, money isn't happiness, whatever, it's not about the money. Like, you know what I mean? Like, even like my podcast, when people ask me, like, oh, have you been making money off of it? It's not about the money. It's like it's like it becomes your baby. It's
Right.
like everything in it, from the backdrop of this room to the carpet I chose, is a form of expression. It's
Of
something
who
that
you
I
are.
saw in my
Exactly.
head and brought to life.
Exactly.
And when you're in it and when you're doing it, it feels so good, because you're like, I saw this thing in my head
You're like,
that
I
really
did that.
didn't
I did
exist,
that.
and I made it exist. So I
Yeah.
feel you. And then, like, when you were talking about, like, all the times in your life when you wanted respect and you wanted whatever, and then you started trying to get it in a negative way, now you finally found a way where it's like, you deserve respect. You've earned, like, bragging rights. You know
Right.
what I mean? So it was like a more positive spin on what you were feeling. So I
Right.
think that's fucking
But
dope.
I'm not gonna. I still like to stay humble and not like be like, yeah, like I'm the owner of Tooth Gemz Toronto,
Yeah.
you know, #1 rated on Google. Blah, blah.
If you have good friends, they'll brag for you.
Oh, they do.
Yeah,
They
see, that's
do.
what I'm saying. I always say be humble, because then the fall from grace isn't that high.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
when
yeah,
you
yeah.
fuck up.
Yeah. Actually,
But
you know what? My boyfriend is like my #1 fan. Anytime we go anywhere, he's like, my girl made my grills. How often can you say that your girl made grills? You know, like
that's so cute. I love
so
that.
funny.
Yeah, we should have him on the podcast too. I
We
would love to
should.
hear about a guy's experiences doing lashes.
He's already had some questionable clients.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
Oh my god. I don't know. This is my business to tell her the his.
Okay, fine.
But
Don't tell me about it. I don't know.
I'll
It
give a
sounded-
quick rundown.
Yes.
But basically, there was this girl who came in. This was like maybe like his third client. Okay, like
Okay.
he's
You know who you are.
he's still new. You know, he hasn't worked on a lot of people yet, so he's still learning. And then she wanted this whole like drastic anime set, and she linked this page, and it was like a $200 set from where she was looking. Right now, mind you, his name's Bradley. Bradley only charges, I think, 75 for a volume, but we were doing a promo for 55, right? So he can get a feel of like other lash styles and stuff like that. He did the lash set. I think it looked great, and then she was like, "Yeah, it's good." She tipped, so it was happy. A few days later, messages. She's like, "It's not full enough, so I need a fill." So Brad's like, "Okay, you can come in for a fill. We can do a little bit more, but it'll be like a $30 fee for a fill." She's like, "No, I expect it to be complimentary." And I was like, what the hell? And she was being so rude. And she's like, "And you obviously haven't posted my photo because you know your work is not up to standard." Okay, she just kept dissing him in these messages, and he was being so nice. I got pissed, and I'm on the account too, right? Like we share the account, and like he's at work, and then I'm out, but I'm seeing these messages. I'm like, "Babe, stop messaging for a second," and I'm just like.
Yeah.
You know, I wrote out this whole thing, and I was like, "Hey, this is Evelyn from Tooth Gemz Toronto." I called her out, and when she came in, she was like, "Oh yeah, like I've done lashes before. I got it on Groupon, but it wasn't that great." So obviously she's trying to get all these deals, but she's expecting the work of like a $200 set.
Yeah.
She's paying $50, but expecting $200 worth of stuff. So I told her, I'm like, next time maybe don't be so cheap. And you'll get the set that you want.
What do you even make of those kinds of people? Because I don't get it. Like, I'm trying to think of, like, a way to put a positive spin on things like this. And I'm trying to, like, chalk it up to, you know, have some empathy when somebody's starting something new. You know what I mean? Even if they are maybe not the greatest right when they start, it's okay. You know what I mean? Just... We're all humans. We're all trying to, like, start somewhere.
Right.
Just kind of, like, bear with them. Let them...
Right.
Whatever, you know? But it's like, it's almost like it's not even that. It's just like, it's just the undying need to be a fucking Karen.
I don't know. It's just people are entitled. You know, they think they deserve so much more, but they want to pay the smallest amount, but want the most out of it. You know, I get clients all the time who are like, "Oh, it's my birthday tomorrow. Do you do discount?" No. I'm sorry. Like, I don't really care. It's your birthday tomorrow.
Yeah.
Who are you to me?
Yeah, that makes no difference.
You know, like...
Would you start a promo like that? Where girls who come to you, like him actually, maybe to you it doesn't make as much sense. But to him, girls who go to him regularly could maybe get something free for their birthday?
Right. Like, if you're, like, a consistent client, then maybe I could do a little something for you. But most of the time, my Tooth Gemz clients are, like, a one-time thing.
But his could be, right?
His
Your
could
boyfriend's?
be. Yes, his could be. It'll be, like, maybe, like, a free fill. You know, come for a full set before your birthday. I'll do a free fill for you, whatever.
Yeah.
Right? But
for you, it
someone
doesn't really make sense.
someone asks me, like, "Do you do birthday promos?" I'm like, "No, I don't."
That's
because
so
you're
weird.
gonna get I have clients going 4 years right now. If I had done a client for free, I'm never seeing you again
Also,
in 4
your
years.
gems last forever. For fucking ever. I had to go back to her and be like, "Okay, I love this, but can you please take it off so at least I know it comes off?"
Yeah.
But yes, that wouldn't make sense for you. I have a question.
Yeah.
Do you... Okay, I feel very weird about teeth.
Okay.
Like, I don't like people being in my mouth. I don't like seeing the inside of other people's mouths. I'm not really into it.
Yeah.
Have you ever, like, have you ever been grossed out by anything where you're like, bro, like, you should have at least brushed that tongue before you did it?
I've seen thousands of mouths and teeth or whatever.
But girl, don't
Okay?
feel like you can't say it, because honestly, I feel like that's courtesy. Like, if you're going somewhere to get something done in your mouth, like when I'm going to the dentist, I don't drink coffee and smoke a bogey and then show up to my dentist on you know what I mean?
I picked rice out of a client's tooth. Okay, we were working on the tooth. She had rice right stuck in. I literally had to take my tweezers and go and scoop that shit out. Okay,
That's so gross.
It was
Did
nasty.
she know?
I don't think so.
You didn't say anything
I
about
didn't
it?
say anything, but it's just like I don't want them to feel embarrassed. You know.
Yeah, you don't want them to feel embarrassed, but do you ever say anything beforehand of, like, you know?
I do. In the pre-appointment, it says, "Please brush your teeth before you come in." But a lot of people will have lunch before they come in or whatever, or like a smoothie.
I
And
feel
it's
like that's fucked.
yeah, like even before I go to the dentist, I'll carry my toothbrush and I'll just brush my teeth in the parking lot, do a little quick rinse and spit, and then go in.
Yeah.
You
So
know?
does it? Are you not then one of those people that gets grossed out by like teeth or
No,
mouths?
no, I don't. I don't get grossed out. I only really get grossed out if they're very very like, if they salivate a lot. You know, that it's kind of gross because I'm working on my tools and then their saliva is just like stuck on my tool.
Do you
I'm like,
remember if
"That's
I was
nasty."
salivating a lot
I
when
don't
you
think
did my
so.
teeth?
I don't think so.
I was so nervous. I was like, I wonder if my teeth look okay right now because you had the light like shining in my face, and I was like, I know I have nice teeth, but I've never had
Yeah.
someone look at them this way.
But sometimes people come in with like a lot of plaque on their teeth too. I'm like, yo, you're paying me over $100 right now to get a gem on your teeth. You should spend that $100 at the dentist to clean your teeth
Clean your
first.
teeth, yeah. So
You know, I'm like, I appreciate you giving me your money, but
Holy.
you should go to the dentist first.
Honestly, I feel that I'm so terrified of the dentist. Like maybe they're scared too.
Oh,
I can
I
kind of
don't
empathize
know.
with those people a
Or
little
sometimes
bit.
people have like little marks on their teeth, which is like natural. Like, you know, sometimes we have a little bit of trauma in our enamel and like it leaves a little mark and stuff like that. And then they'll be like, can you just put a tooth gem on top of that? And I'm like, go to the dentist and fix that first. But I'm like, okay, if that's what you want, I'll do it.
It doesn't. Does the glue do anything to your teeth?
No.
It doesn't.
It's literally the same thing as braces. It's the same process as braces.
Okay.
So like even if you had all that stuff on your teeth and you put on braces, like it doesn't affect or anything.
It doesn't really affect
No.
it. Okay. Tell us a little bit about. I want to know about this because I'm sure like there's a lot of young people out there that might want to. Okay, because this is a new thing. Okay, let me be completely honest. The economy's really fucking bad right now. Like people are really, really fucking struggling. You know, and I'm like young enough to where I'm around the conversations of like, bro, I don't know what the fuck to do anymore. Like, you know?
Right.
So I feel like you're a good person to talk about this because you started a business from scratch and it was a small business and you've built it up to something great. And it's simple enough where it could be like replicated and like, you know what I mean? It's a good.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what advice would you have in that sense? If somebody is like, I want to start my own business, what would you tell them? What should they do?
Well, I offer training.
Do you?
I do.
I didn't know this.
I have students all across Canada. Like, I have 60, 70 students that I've accumulated over the past few years.
Girl.
You know, I have some
Good for
students in the
you.
States. You know, I have students in Alberta. I have students in Montreal. I have Saskatchewan. Like, really random places. You know, I have students in New York. It's pretty crazy. So
crazy.
if anyone wants to learn, I do training.
Okay.
And I do take
I'll link that in the bio as well.
Yeah, and I take you guys through social media advice and everything, and it also comes with mentorship. So if you have any questions, like I am there to help you along the entire way, you know. But at the end of the day, you can take my training, but that doesn't mean I put in the work for you. You know, I have so many of these students, but maybe only a handful of them are
Actually do
successful
anything
and
with
actually move forward with it. I have so many students who take the training and then they start it and then they kind of give up because a lot of people tell me that I make it look easy. You know, but it's really not. I always tell everyone, you need to put 110% into your work for you to be successful. You know, you can't do 70, you can't do 80, you can't do 90, you can't do 99. It's got to be 110%, and that's where you'll see success.
That's true. Okay, so I will link. Do you have a separate Instagram for it?
It's all on my website.
Your website is linked where?
It's to my Instagram. So just leave my Instagram. Everything's there.
Okay, I'll leave her Instagram in the bio. I'll also put it on the screen at the end of this episode so you guys can go there and get you know, like help from her if you want. But while you're here, I have to give the audience something. Give us some free game. Give us a little 1-2 little teaser of like, you know, even if it's like a mentality thing or like somewhere people can start or like any kind of gem that you can throw out there for the audience.
I don't know.
She's like, ain't nothing free in this world, honey.
Information's not free. Let me tell you something. When I first started, I released DIY kits. You know, it was just something during COVID that people could take home.
Oh, I saw that.
And then this girl messaged me. She started asking me all these questions about my kits. I was answering them, and then I found that she had a Tooth Gem page already, and she said she was going to release Tooth Gem kits. This girl took my information so that she could sell them on her own. I called her out on it, and she said, information is free. And I'm like, information is not free.
That is so fucked for so many.
It is so fucked.
It's such an unethical business practice.
Yeah. No, for sure.
I feel like people hear that, like, I feel like, okay, it's so weird, but like people think that like business and like life are like opposites, where it's like mannerisms that you would or should have in day-to-day relationships
Right.
don't apply in businesses because now money's involved and
Yeah.
it's a doggy dog world.
Yeah.
But really it's not like that. There's like ethics to running businesses, and there's like codes, same as with everything. You go to fucking jail, there's certain codes.
Right.
You do anything,
Right.
there's certain like rules. You can't just be like stepping on people's toes and expecting to do well.
I mean, if you're paying me $1,000, okay, do whatever you want. You know, say whatever you want to
Yeah,
me,
then
but-
you've earned it. You pay.
Yeah.
I
But
listen.
we're talking about like $80 here.
Yeah,
you
it's
know?
not free to pay your dues. You had to build your way up here. I'm sure it
Exactly.
wasn't free for you. The fuck.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I don't know if you know this about me or not, but I'm also a lawyer.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah. So I have people who like my friends will like casually message me. By the way, if it's close friends, there's a very select group of friends. They can get legal advice for free at any time in their lives because
Right. Information
they're
is
my
not
best
free.
friends. But then there's certain people that are like people I know, but we're not really friends, who will message me and start asking me like super like very specific legal questions. And I'm like, I don't even know what to say at that point, because I'm like, just because to me this is a simple issue doesn't mean that you shouldn't pay for it.
Right.
Because for me to even be at a point where I could read your message and understand your problem and know that it's an easy problem, it took thousands of dollars and years
Yeah.
of law school and whatever.
Yeah.
And people are like, oh, it takes you 20 minutes to do this, but you charge this much for it. It's like, no, it didn't take me 20 minutes. It took me 7 years,
Yes.
actually.
Yes. Yeah.
You know what I mean? To get
Exactly.
to a point where I can do it in 20
Right.
minutes.
And I can relate to that. You know, like I spend so much time researching products on what I use for my Tooth Gemz. You know, like my retention lasts a long time because I use quality products.
Yeah.
There are people out there who use Amazon bond, and it's just like that will not last you. Amazon bond will last you a couple days, a couple weeks, you know.
Yeah.
But then people come and ask me like, oh, what do you use? You know, or like, do you have any tips on how to make this last longer? My answer is always, this is information that I offer to my students only.
Yeah, that's a
You
good
know?
answer. Yeah, fuck that.
Yeah.
I was always, at the beginning, I was very nice about it, and I would be like, oh, well, you know, like, it depends, you know, like, you
Yeah.
should talk to your lawyer, like,
Yes.
kind of thing. Because, first of all, I can't really be out here giving you legal advice.
Mm-hmm.
If you've retained me and you've paid a fee, then that's a different situation. Then there's confidentiality. Then I'm
Right.
actually, like, I'm in the ins and outs of your case, and I could actually give my opinion. But if I don't know your case and I'm just giving you an opinion on a
Right.
whim, and then you go and do whatever the fuck with it, and then it turns out not so great,
Yeah,
I don't really want to be a part of that.
for sure.
But at first I was confused. I was like, I don't know what to say. But now I straight up just say it. I'm like, if it's somebody that's close enough, I say, hey, listen, I'm telling you as a friend and not as your lawyer. And also, if you want specific information about this, you should definitely go and retain a lawyer.
Right,
You know?
for sure.
But it's, I don't know, it's a fucking crazy world. So you're not going to give us any free
Okay,
game, eh?
if you want some free information, I will just say just use top quality products. Don't be afraid to pay an expensive amount for the bond you use and the composite you use, because that will go a long way. You know, don't just spend like a $20 on an Amazon bond. My bond is $200. You know, $200 will last you, and $200 will come back.
Mhm.
You know, you don't have to worry about the money. You know, just invest in quality stuff.
Okay, see? That was free game. Thank you.
There you
I
go. You can have that free
appreciate it.
game.
Thank you.
Well, I also sell those products, so
Honestly, guys, like, I don't say this lightly, but I'm I'm a fan of your business and the
thank
way
you.
you do
I
business.
appreciate that.
Especially because you are a woman, and I'm, like I said, I love women doing badass things. And, you know, you're an ethical person, and I came to you and it was great. So anybody who does want to do Tooth Gemz, grills, or even wants to learn about how to do those things,
I got
or
you.
learn to make a business, you know where to find your girl. Do you have any final thoughts to share with us? Anything you want to talk about or anything you want to add before we get off?
I think covered everything. Literally, just like
What's your message to the world? Give us a little.
just mind your own business.
I'm just gonna cut it right there.
Lit-
Mind your own business. I
too
love
many
that.
too many people are up my ass and just trying to figure out what I do. Just figure it out on your own.
Yeah.
I figured it out myself.
Yeah,
You can do it too.
yeah. Mind the business that
Mind
pays
your
you.
own business.
I love that. You heard it here. Mind your own fucking business. But anyways, if you want to learn how to start your own business or you want to know more about Evelyn's and learn about her business, you can go onto her page. I'm going to link her page over here. You can't see it now, but it'll be here later.
Thank you
Right
so
over
much for
here.
having me.
Of course. Thank you so much for coming.
This
And
was
thank
so
you
much
for being
fun.
vulnerable with us and letting us get to know you a little bit more than just your business.
Anyone who has listened to that part, don't judge me, please.
It's not about judgment. If anything, to me, it made it so much more dope. So I'm really, really thankful that you trusted me and this space was safe enough for you to like open up about that kind of stuff. I hope that people are able to watch that and actually be inspired by it. Behind every business, there's a human being with issues and problems and feelings. So let's keep that in mind. And I hope that her story made you guys appreciate her business more and respect her business more, if anything, and respect her more. So I love you guys. To everybody wanting to start a business, good luck out there. And thank you so much for watching this episode. Bye.
Bye.